A fundamental step to improving cognitive decline, in which many providers will overlook or just completely disregard, is one's ability to regulate their blood sugar. Blood sugar is critical. You don't want it to be too high or too low, it needs to be just right. Why is this important? Because in order for your brain to work well, the neurons within that brain need fuel, or what they call ATP. Just like how your automobile needs fuel to get from point A to point B. And the pumps which distribute this fuel are called mitochondria. Now, just like the pumps at the gas station, that fuel doesn't just come out of nowhere. Someone has to go and dig for oil, and then they can take that oil and combine it with some other liquids and do whatever else they got to do, load it up on a tanker, and then they can drive it to the station where it can be used. Glucose is the oil that can be used to create ATP. This article states that glucose is the long-established obligatory fuel for the brain that fulfills many critical functions, including ATP production, oxidative stress management, and synthesis of neurotransmitters, neuromodulators, and structural components. More of the story, it's essential. So, glucose. We get glucose through our diet, mainly from foods that are rich in carbohydrates. And when it comes to glucose or blood sugar, the important thing is the ability to regulate our blood sugar. Let's first go through the basic mechanism. Whenever you eat something, the glucose from that food makes its way into your blood. And the only problem with that is it's not very useful within the blood because it needs to get to the mitochondria, which are within all of your cells, so that it can be used to make energy. Think of your blood vessels kind of like a road within a neighborhood. And in order to get into any of these homes, you have to first pass through the homeowner's gate. So when that glucose needs to make its way into the cells, your pancreas will release insulin, and insulin works like the key that goes to unlock the gate and escort it into the house or the cell. But if that glucose is too high, and your pancreas has to keep secreting insulin in an effort to get glucose out of the blood and into your cells, you can end up developing what is called insulin resistance. So imagine this. If you stay at a hotel and the checkout time is 11 a.m., but let's say that you went somewhere and you tried to come back to your room at noon. Obviously, your key card's not going to work anymore because that room is technically no longer yours. You have overstayed your welcome. That's what can happen with insulin resistance. Your key no longer works, and so excessive amounts of glucose stay within the blood, never making it into your cells for energy to be made. We don't want high blood sugar levels, but we also don't want low blood sugar levels. It's a balancing act. Not too high, not too low. But in regards to hypoglycemia or low blood sugar, in this article, they state that our meta-analyses of 1.4 million patients provide strong evidence on the association between hypoglycemic events and dementia risk in diabetic patients. Our quantitative analyses demonstrates that patients with hypoglycemic episodes have a 44% increased risk of dementia as compared to those not experiencing the same. Then on the flip side, if your blood sugar gets too high, aka hyperglycemia, we can develop insulin resistance that can eventually lead to full-blown diabetes. And within this article, they state that hyperglycemia plays a significant role in endothelial damage through the formation of advanced glycation end products. The accumulation of advanced glycation end products provokes the subsequent increased expression of RAGE receptors, which in turn stimulates inflammation, vascular injury, and oxidative stress. And why is all that important? Because all of that stuff contribute to mitochondrial dysfunction, impairing your ability to create energy, and according to this article, mitochondrial dysfunction seems to be fundamental in Alzheimer's disease pathogenesis. So now, of course, you must be wondering, okay, Matt, so how do I fix this? Well, lucky for you, I recently put out an entire course entitled Reversing Cognitive Decline. And within this course, I'll share with you a step-by-step process on how to improve the overall quality of your brain. And one of the very first things that we start off with is managing blood sugar levels through dietary changes, supplementation, and how we can use exercise at specific times in relation to your meals in order to optimize blood sugar regulation.